In the name of Jesus from South America, they're coming here, they're coming here, they're coming here, they're coming here from Africa. Pika hata ata ata. I hear the sound of victory. Pika hata ata ata. I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound of winning, winning, winning. Pika hata ata ata.
They didn't bother to interview a single witness. Just like you, they don't want to know the truth. Well, you probably know the truth.
Okay, so there's Rudy passing gas. But the content of this was also disgusting. This went on for hours.
Witness.
There's Rudy passing gas.
They didn't bother to interview a single witness. Just like you, they don't want to know the truth. Well, you probably know the truth.
I'd say that poll book is off by over 100,000. That poll book, why don't you look at the registered voters on there? How many registered voters are on there? Do you even know the answer to that?
Well, I guess I'm trying to get to the...
All right, welcome everybody. I just saw the funniest comment. Oh, hold on. Am I on? Hello? Oh, I'm on. I just saw the funniest comment on Twitch from House of Leaves saying these song makers have sunk to a new low. I feel like the songs have gotten to a new high. Like, I feel like early on we were only starting to sort of understand the scope of how funny these songs can be. And now we're actually getting to the songs being good. But that's just a disagreement. That's just a gentleman's disagreement. I'm sorry I'm sort of running late. I assume Joe Biden's also running very late, so it should be okay. We're potentially going to get some major cabinet and administration announcements today, and we're going to look at the triggering that is taking place with Donald Trump. It's just been a hectic day. I'm in the bunker. I just had a really strong meeting with our accountant, and the news was not great. What we basically were able to determine in our meeting with the accountant was we may be running out of memberships. We actually may be out of memberships soon. And, you know, one of the things our accountant does is we don't talk politics. He just advises me as to how he believes tax law will change. And he said he does believe any discounts off above 60% will be illegal if the Biden administration is given an opportunity to weigh in on that. So the combination of being almost out of memberships and the discounts being illegal, to me signals it's time. It's time to get those memberships. So I've got a few different things. Actually, I have a ton of things to talk about here. Where to even begin? So there are folks who saw my appearance the other day with Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II in terms of he reviewed some of the songs. Actually, he reviewed the Jethro Bradley Rudy Giuliani fart song, and he got sick of it after like 10 seconds, and his viewers were demanding it continue. So I think that that's something we could be looking at, but it seems that there is a sort of rift to the Destiny Pacman arc, and it's really a disagreement over the quality of some of these songs. And I take that as a personal insult because the songs are strong. So that's that. But we're going to be looking at that in the future. Now, I do have. Do you guys want me to do? I have a crazy new Troy York voicemail to play. I also have a correction, and you know the corrections are very rare on this program, not because I have any ideological opposition to correcting things I get wrong, but because I quite frankly just get things wrong so infrequently that there's very, very little to correct, but I do actually have a correction to issue. That's partially a joke, but I do make every effort to get things right. And I have... Oh no, I thought I had a new Jimmy from Philly voicemail, but I don't. I have a Troy York voicemail, but not a Jimmy from Philly voicemail. And then continued questions about my zucchini, and that's going to be something we look at later. Okay, so I'll do the correction in a moment. I do want to read through a few super chats here. Sam Dean from Australia says there are reports Trump has lost 135,000 Twitter followers and Biden gained 1 million in that time. I believe that is the same thing I saw. Massachusetts native says bigly massive dumps cause clogged plumbing at White House. This is kind of a gross super chat. I'm going to skip the rest of it. And Leela Ramsey says, David, you're aging so slowly. Do you wear daily sunscreen or are you just immortal? That's very nice of you to say. No, it's Botox. Botox is what it is. And I talk about that further on the bonus show, which Summer may be referring now to as the Boner Show, which is a weird name for it, quite frankly. All right, let me issue my correction. Yesterday, we did a bigly viral clip where Kaylee Marganani gets some math completely wrong. Actually, is this the one? Yeah, it is. And I made a sort of unclear, arguably incorrect statement in my analysis. So let's listen. And I'm sorry that we're not seeing the super chats on screen. It's because I've got a different stream set up today, and I've just not been able to figure out, based on the having only 2 monitors instead of 5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. No, hold on, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I have 4 monitors in my normal setup, and I just am not able to put them on screen, but I am seeing them. Okay, so one thing at a time. Let's listen to Kaylee.
Tried type of election with the mail-in voting. And what this lawsuit does, it looks at those anomalies, and here's what it finds. It finds that the chances of Biden coming from as far behind as he was at 3 a.m. on election night, the chances of that are 1 in 1 quadrillion. The chances of him, that's prevailing in one state, prevailing in all 4 of the states where he was so far behind, the chances of that are 1 in a quadrillion to the 4th power.
Okay, so the other day I did an analysis or yesterday, and this clip did beautifully well, where I explained that, what Kaylee is assuming when she says the chance of what happening is 1 in 1 quadrillion, what she means is that Biden losing on election night and then ending up winning with mail-in votes would only happen in 1 out of 1 quadrillion simulations with the inputs that we had. And of course, it wrongly assumes that because Biden won, for example, Biden won Pennsylvania 50-49. And what she means is if you assume every city, every county, in person, if you assume and expect everything to be 50-49, then it would be weird what happened. When you understand, like, hey, it was 85, it was like 83-17 in Philly, and that was like a huge county, and mail-in went to Biden. Once you understand that 1 in 1 quadrillion doesn't make any sense. But where I went wrong was that I also just plainly said that's also not how exponents work. When she says in 1 state, the odds are 1 in 1 quadrillion. In 4 states, it's 1 in 1 quadrillion raised to the 4th power. I should have been more clear, because theoretically that is how you would look at the likelihood of two independent events both happening. And if you believe each one of them is 1 in 1 quadrillion, you would raise it to the 4th power. So I was wrong and confusing when I simply said that's not how exponents work. I should have better clarified that given that 1 in 1 quadrillion is wrong, and also the idea that it would be 1 in 1 quadrillion in 4 different states that have different populations and different margins, given all of that, you can't just raise it to the 4th power and say that's your number. I wasn't clear about that. Theoretically, that is how exponents would work. Of course, all the actual math of it was wrong, and therefore, it's not in practice how it would work. Okay, so that's my apology. I was unclear about that. I want to say thanks to Amelia Pancakes, Shelbs, Texas, Ian Snyder, for gifting and subscribing. That's 4, as well as Soleil95, Kashmir, Ansel, which puts us at 7 new members and Twitch subs already. Also, big thank you to Zoe Finkelson for signing up on my website, Robert Glassford, and Jordan Anderson. That's numbers 8, 9, and 10. which puts us at 10. Okay, good. So we're standing by here for Joe Biden at the bottom of the hour, expecting some very, very important announcements in terms of cabinet and administration selections. I've been keeping an eye on the Joe Biden YouTube channel to see if we can get a stream there. And we do have one. Beautiful. Okay, so just a couple of other little things. We are seeing the wrong shot. Here we go. We are seeing heavy triggering from Donald Trump. Some of the things he's been tweeting. Now it turns out the Democrats want to pack the court with 26 justices. Hold on a second. I should actually go. Let me change this to dark mode. I know a lot of people really don't like this. Let me go to dim. There we go. Sorry about that. I know that's bad for a lot of people. Here we go. Donald Trump tweeting. Oh, this. Now that the Biden administration, this is the first time I've ever seen Donald Trump use that term, Biden administration. So we are inching closer and closer to a concession, as I pointed out here. But it's still not really one because he wants it stolen. Now that the Biden administration will be a scandal-plagued mess for years to come, it is much easier for the Supreme Court of the United States to follow the Constitution and do what everybody knows has to be done. They must show great courage and wisdom, save the USA. I still don't know why Trump capitalizes random non-proper nouns in the middle of sentences. Great courage and wisdom. Why is that capitalized? I'll never know. But of course, this is very, very dangerous. Trump is apparently saying that the right thing is for the Supreme Court to give the election to the candidate that didn't win, which seems very wrong. Trump again referencing his so-called perfect phone call to Ukraine, which is just idiotic. Trump saying he wants the world to stop. He just wants to stop the world from killing itself, which is crazy. He again went after the Obama administration over swine flu. And of course, swine flu everything about swine flu is different. It wasn't nearly as deadly as coronavirus. It doesn't really make any sense. Bragging about no war with Korea and then retweeting. Is this OAN? Hold on. What is this? Greg Kelly.
Lack of chain of custody.
What is this?
Serial numbers were missing. Poll pads were tagged correctly for my poll, but they were programmed for Adams Park Library, which is over 25 miles away.
I mean, it's like they're just going and going and going. It never stops. Then posting some kind of a Greg Kelly video.
Graduated from law school, but unfortunately for him, it was all downhill from there. Look, the whole country knows about his issues, but the mainstream media refused to tell you about them, minimized it. They went along with the whole, oh, it's Russia collusion, it's Russia disinformation.
So let me. Oh my God. This should I even be talking? Like, do we even want to hear about this whole thing with Hunter? I guess I'll just briefly mention it. So what the right-wing media is now claiming is that the Hunter Biden laptop from hell story was accurate all along, but that the corporate mainstream media wasn't willing to talk about it until after Biden won. This is the claim they're making. They're saying, the story that Hunter Biden flew across the country to have a legally blind guy fix his laptops, and he went straight from the airport to this blind guy to do the laptops drunk, and then he left the laptops and never went and picked them up, and then the blind guy looked, instead of trying to just return the laptops, he accessed the private files of Hunter Biden and found emails that exposed Joe Biden and sent it to the FBI. But when the FBI didn't do anything to his liking, the blind computer repairman called Rudy Giuliani. That's the story, okay? What they are now saying is that was accurate all along, and now corporate media is willing to talk about it because the election's over, okay? The truth is, what's going on now with Hunter Biden has nothing to do with that. Hunter Biden has a lien that has been placed because he allegedly underpaid his taxes by $100,000, and now he's delinquent on those $100,000. Okay, has nothing to do with the laptop from hell. Has nothing to do with Joe Biden, obviously. It has nothing to do with any of these things. And the difference between now and before the election is that there's actually evidence for this story. That's the actual difference, and that's why. That's why. I mean, look, I also reported on the Hunter Biden. We talked about it yesterday on the bonus show. So let's just leave it there. I don't think we have to go on and say anything else. Okay. Other super chats coming in. Chakaseki says, I just used the coupon code FLESHSHART and it pulled up illicit nudes of Trump. Is the code illegal? The code is completely illegal, but the actual code is Fresh Start, not Flesh Shart. Important to know the right code. David, I watched your video on the Secretary of Defense. As a black progressive, you are not racist. You are right. It's a reversion to the mean. That's from Chokwe Pitchford. Appreciate that. Very much appreciate that. That message, Chokwe. Thank you so much. Also, via Twitch, I want to say thank you to Modo Grinder, who has just grabbed a Twitch Prime sub and is number 11. And Jamie McMahon has signed up at joinpacman.com and is number 12. Okay, do we want to do the... guys, I understand you can't see the... so I guess Trump just tweeted something. Hold on. Let's see. What did he just tweet? What is this?
Antonio Mujica and his partner Alfredo Anzola received a small business loan from the Venezuelan government only months before the recall election. These corporate registration documents from Venezuela show the Venezuelan government owned 28% of the stock of another company they started, Vista, which adapted voting software for the Smartmatic machines in the 2004 elections. The same document shows a Chavez government minister, Omar Montillo, was on the board of directors. The Chavez government gave Vista, Smartmatic, and another company.
It's funny because like they're so they're using this connection to claim Joe Biden didn't really win, I guess. Trump retweeting what Melissa Tate said. I don't know who that is. Joe Biden will not set foot in the White House. 170,000 votes in Michigan have just been discovered to not have a trace to a registered voter in Michigan. If you guys weren't aware, that claim about election fraud is disputed. Very weird stuff. Really, really weird stuff. Okay. Let me get the, I'll play this voicemail. We got another voicemail from Troy York, and he's upset that I'm not debating people I've never heard of. Take a listen to this. You might like this.
Yeah, you don't debate. You don't debate the Hodge twins. You don't.
Okay, so I don't know who the Hodge twins are. I have no clue who that is. That's number one. Let's continue.
Debate Steven Crowder.
Okay, I know who Steven Crowder is. It's not clear he's much for debating left-wing people.
Louder with Crowder. You don't debate J.P. Sears.
J.P. Sears. I have no idea who that is.
You just don't debate. You're scared to debate, Pac-Man. All you ever have on your show are fellow liberals, libtards. You are scared to debate. You don't have these men on. You don't have the red elephants.
The Red Elephant. I don't know who that is.
Vincent James on.
Vincent James. Never heard of him.
You don't debate. You don't debate. My. David Pacman, the Argentine Israeli troll. Don't debate.
I'm not. I am Jewish. I'm not Israeli. Let's remember that.
You are a joke. You that say nothing about Gavin Newsom and the creeping communism.
Yeah. Gavin Newsom's advocating for the government to own all business.
Of these lockdowns.
And he wants sugar rations, too.
These attack on our capitalist system. You hate America.
No, I want America to be better.
I'm born here. You want it to be weakened like...
It is true that I wasn't born here. He's right. He's right about that.
Argentina. You want socialism. You want one-party state.
Nope, I don't. I'm not a socialist. Don't want a one-party state. I want more parties, not fewer.
You want a country like Chile?
I don't know that much about Chile, but so that's just weird. I've never been and don't know that much about it.
You want like Venezuela?
Definitely not. No, don't want a country like Venezuela.
What? Tyranny, left-wing tyranny, like Nicolas Maduro?
Nope, I'm against Maduro. In fact, I get sometimes critiqued by some of my further left viewers who say, why don't I like Maduro? I don't like Maduro because I'm not an authoritarian leftist.
You want Chile before Allende with how they were with Salvador Allende?
Allende. Oh my God. Of course, he's speaking about Salvador, as we say in Argentina, we would say Allende or Allende. How did he pronounce that? Allende? Let me get that. Hold on. Where are we?
Before Allende with how they were.
A linguist. Yeah, before, at one point, did you guys know Chile was led by a radical linguist? Cunning, by the way.
With Salvador Allende? You want Latin American type style dictatorship in America.
No. In fact, many of my viewers criticize me that I don't want that.
And President Trump and the Republicans and conservatives will continue to resist by any means necessary.
So there's the latest news from Troy York, and then I think I do have a. This is a Troy York voicemail songified by Jethro Bradley. Let's listen to it.
Should I play this? This is one of the most vile callers we have. Take a listen to this. I have not pre-screened this, so let me just warn you. This may not be suitable for children.
Hey, little prickless.
Oh no, this isn't Troy York. This is the prickless caller.
Now that your hero is there, are you going to sit there in your little kimono and wear your little hat, stripes, because it's going to be called no free speech, red Chinese communist speech. But you can't have pork because you might offend the Ayatollahs. After all, they're going to love this too. They're going to make a bomb, and I hope they drop it right on your freaking ass. But you can't have pork. But you can't have pork. But you can't have pork. Like to stick that microphone right up your ass. You can't have pork.
Anyway, so particularly in the spirit of Hanukkah brisket, I will not be having any pork today. So that was not Troy York. That was Prickless guy. And yeah, I see people asking about whether law enforcement ever gets involved with these people. I don't know. I have a story I could tell, but I try not to tell these stories because I feel like I just don't know what the upside is, but it is a pretty freaking compelling story about that. Okay, so listen, I'll tell this story without giving anything away. Okay, let me think. How do I even explain this? So there are sometimes I will. Well, okay. We have contacts at different levels of law enforcement. That is absolutely true. And sometimes there will be a reason to contact either local or federal law enforcement because of a voicemail or a call or an email that we get. Sometimes it's like we can do something good. Like, for example, at one point, there was a guy who was leaving voicemails and he was saying suicidal things. And we figured out who it was. We figured out the area code. I called the local police department. It was in a totally different part of the country. They went to do a wellness check. The guy actually was really crying out for someone to help. They were able to bring him. He got help. And a couple weeks later, I heard from this guy and said, I'm so thankful that you called. I got help I needed. Okay. So that was that was a good thing. Sometimes we get threats that, we just say, hey, this seems like maybe a dangerous sort of person. And recently I was notified by one of our federal law enforcement contracts that agents actually showed up at the home of someone who had been sending messages that were legitimately concerning with specific claims. And they showed up. They showed up to see what's going on. And in this particular case, they said, this is a quote, the guy was scared shitless. And it was somebody living in an insanely rural place with absolutely no money or the ability to really carry out any of what they were saying, not a gun owner, etc. But I'm like, I wish I had video of, people showing up and saying, we need to talk to you about, what, I'm not even going to say what means they were using to communicate, but what you've been doing. And that's what you want to hear is this is not someone with the means. I think volition is the term that they used. So that stuff does happen. Okay. Let's get to some other super chats. Oh, actually, before I even do that, let me thank a few other people. Jennifer Wynn is new member number 13 today. Glenn Moore is number 14. Ben Francisco is number 15. Laura Roche is number 16. And Joseph Akowitz is number 17, which I very much appreciate. We are counting Twitch subs today. So once I add in Switch and River Me, I guess are the two, that actually puts us at 19. And I'm glad to open phone lines if we achieve our goal today as we stand by for Joe Biden. Andreas sends a super chat and says, I can't watch the Paula White clip without seeing David walk by in the background. Yeah, I don't have that available. Oh, actually, wait, maybe I do. Let me see if I have that. Paula White. No, I don't. No, I don't. But I was sent this recently. This is pretty funny. This is a good mimetic element, combining a few different things. Frequent question on the phone lines, is this me? And then regularly, is an ice cream sandwich sandwich? Is an ice cream sandwich a sandwich or an ice cream? And that's a fair question, actually. An ice cream sandwich is definitely a sandwich. It is also ice cream, so that's pretty clear. And then I have one other one, cappuccino. What is this? Oh yeah, have you seen? It's amazing what they're doing with latte art these days. That's a beautiful looking drink. I like that. That looks delicious. I hope that's whole milk. I've found that it's hard to get the right texture for latte art with low fat milks. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but I've seen that a lot. Okay. A Kinky Turtle says Vincent James is a literal Nazi who debated destiny on guns and brought up race a lot. Okay, yeah, I have no idea who it is. Mark says, Pac-Man, sos sargento, te amo. Oh, abrazos desde Miami. Okay, yes, I'm Argentinian, is what this gentleman is asking in a very coarse way. Yes, I am 100% Argentinian. I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen. All right, a couple of other, let me see what else we've got here. Oh, I did want to look at clips. Do you guys want to see some clips of Trump's 2020 press secretary, campaign press secretary talking? This is Trump 2020 national press secretary. Let's hear what he had to say. This is weird.
Where's the Durham report? You know, where are the people being held accountable who attacked this president and went after his family, wiretapped and spied on the campaign?
Well, I think that's a good question for John Durham, right?
What on earth are they talking about? Like, what on earth is that about? It's bizarre. Let me just make sure as we look at these. I don't want to miss. If we get audio, we'll go over there. Let's see what other interesting clips Aaron has put together for us. Oh, there's a cringe moment. Oh my God. Oh my God. Actually, Pence running is pretty. This has to be, this is hugely meme worthy. Can anybody do something with this? You know what would be really funny? I don't know if you guys remember the videos of me when we got our mattress sponsor. I did some videos where I was diving on the bed. It would be pretty funny to have me flying by, diving, and Pence just barely avoiding me as he runs through. Let's look at it one more time. That is an unusual gait. G-A-I-T. Very, very interesting. And then here is Lou Dobbs. This is a beautiful moment. Lou Dobbs is interviewing that lunatic attorney, Sidney Powell. And she starts talking about the future. And Lou gets pissed, like, how come we're still not trying to steal the election right now?
Yes, well, the American people are going to have to insist on paper ballots with real identification. That's going to be one of the key things.
Well, that's going to be great for the next. Sydney, I've got to tell you, I'm not even going to contemplate the next election. I'm not even contemplating the January 5th election in Georgia.
I like that. Contemplate. Okay, spelling bee. Contemplate. CONNUMPLATE. Contemplate. Ding. Oh, sorry.
The hell with that. If the people of Georgia are dumb enough, after what they have gone through in the November 3rd election, to then go toward January 5th and a runoff and think that changing nothing will change the outcome,
right,
then the people of Georgia aren't half as smart as I believe them to be.
See, this is the type of stuff that might get Georgia Republicans not to vote, which would be great for Democrats.
And I believe the patriots in Georgia should stop this nonsense now. It is not something that to be decided about over who do you favor, which party, which candidate. This is now about faith in the electoral system in one specific state that may control the destiny of...
I thought it was in 4 states.
...this country. And by God, it's too important for anyone. And I don't care what party you're in.
Well, you kind of care.
I don't care whether you're an independent.
Oh.
This is too important to act as if nothing happened on November 3rd and to pretend...
No. See, that's the funny thing. Something did happen on November 3rd. It's that Joe Biden won. That's what happened. They don't want to accept something did happen. We agree something happened. Just we don't agree what it is that took place. Excuse me. Thanks to Rolly Burkink, Green Man with a 10-month sub, one of our great moderators, Green Man. Rolly Burkink, Green Man, It's Cody, Galorn Hammerthrow, Stmated, Cynical Gold, Switch, and River Me. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 19 plus 8. 9 plus 8 is 17, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 19 plus 8 is 27. Got it. And then also a thank you to Tanya Poorman, Bailey Neve, Janet Hamilton, Alex Burchill, new members 28, 29, 30, and 31 at joinpacman.com as we stand by for Joe Biden. A few other super chats. James Montalbano says, if this SCOTUS thing is successful and tens of millions of votes are overturned in favor of Trump, the riots from this summer will look like nothing. Well, there's people predicting riots in both cases. There's people predicting riots if the election results stand and Biden is the president. It's kind of dark here. What can I do? Hold on. Let me see if I can get a little more light on. Oh, that's better. That's better. Whoa. A lot. They call it a bunker for a reason. Very strange things going on outside the bunker. Okay. A Spooky Fox says, hey, Pacman, do you like alfajores con dulce de leche? Got a recipe for me? Yeah. So I actually will, about once a year, I'll do alfajores de maicena. Maicena being cornstarch. And it's a beautiful, you basically are making 2 cornstarch cookies. And then you put dulce de leche between them. In fact, I can show you guys a picture of what this looks like. This is one of my favorite Argentinian pastries. And then you roll it in coconut. It's just it's absolutely perfect. Check this out. This is a cultural event. I should really be showing a Hanukkah brisket, but about once a year. And it's like a 2-day process because you really need the dough to sit. So first thing is you make and bake these the cookie. And then afterwards you put the dulce de leche in, and then you roll it in very, very finely minced coconut. These are fantastic. This is worth a trip to Argentina by itself. Yeah, very good. So yes, I do like them. Let's see. El Gato says 11th Amendment, read it. Texas will go nowhere with that lawsuit. Of course, the Texas lawsuit is going nowhere. I almost start to feel bad for people who, it's like you're caught up in a scam. The Texas lawsuit is going nowhere. Void Present says in Monopoly terms, the cult of Trump is trying to flip the table because they didn't win. Absolutely. Nancy Casanova has subscribed at the soy boy level and upgraded to the beta level. Very much appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Did I make latkes last night? I didn't. I was actually in transit to the bunker last night, so I was not able to make them. But if you want to see some beautiful latkes, follow David Leibovitz on Instagram. He posted some great videos of his Latkes last night, and they were absolutely perfect. They looked fantastic. Okay, at here. So we did Sidney Powell. Let's see what else we've got. There were a couple of, I didn't flag them specifically. I just figured I'd scroll through. Where else are we here? Oh, I guess he hasn't posted that much. Maybe it was Asen that did. I know that there were other clips I wanted to play for you guys. We started at the top. Let's see what this is about. This should be interesting.
Our election has been certified. It's been upheld by every court in which it's been challenged. It's outrageous that they filed this. And
oh, wait a second. Are we live? Oh, people were referring to me. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, let's continue.
That they would try to disenfranchise the 39 million people that live in these 4 states. It's really disturbing.
She says you're trying to disenfranchise 39 million voters in those 4 states. Your argument is that Texas voters have been disenfranchised. Do you think the Supreme Court will actually take up the case?
You know, I don't know what's in their head, but what I'm hoping is that we don't have another place to go. This is a state versus state. So our direct action, our first action is in the U.S. Supreme Court. So most other litigants have the opportunity to go in front of some court and be heard at least once. I think we, especially in a case that's this important, I think we ought to have the chance to be heard at least once.
Can you imagine lower energy than this? And I guess here he says he's not trying to get a pardon.
To answer one accusation in particular. This comes from Eric Erickson. He says Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, is under a federal investigation and would love a presidential pardon. His lawsuit basically is by someone desperate to curry favor with President Trump. I mean, you've long been a supporter of President Trump. So how do you answer that accusation?
So Eric has no idea what he's talking about. I've been working on these issues for the last year. We had 12 lawsuits in Texas that dealt with mail-in ballots, that dealt with voter certification. That
this guy gives me the heebie-jeebies. I'm not going to lie. He creeps me out. Very, very odd guy. Let's see if there was anything else here that I wanted to get to. Matt Gaetz. Let's see what his claim now is.
Committee, maybe put Jerry Nadler in charge of the Congressional Weight Loss Program. Jerry Nadler in charge of the Congressional Weight Loss Program.
Okay, so it's basically just ad hominem. Really, really weird stuff. Matt Gaetz is just horrible, horrible, horrible. Let's go. Here we go.
I'm them standing for me. But thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Before I make my announcements today, I want to say a few words about the COVID crisis.
Yes.
This week marked another tragic milestone in our fight against COVID-19. More than 3,000 deaths in one single day, the highest single death count during this pandemic. That's more deaths in a single day than we saw on 9/11 or at Pearl Harbor.
True.
This is serious business. And the current director of the CDC said yesterday, we can expect the similar numbers of deaths or more every single day for the next 60 to 90 days. We're in the teeth of a crisis right now. And this nation needs presidential leadership right now. Presidential leadership that is willing to model the steps we should be taking to save our own lives and lives of our families. You know, we can wish this away, but we have to face it head on. We have to take it head on. Using every power available to me as president, we'll have a national coordinated strategy that will beat this virus. You know, and as tough as things are now, I firmly believe better days are ahead. We've got some good news yesterday. The FDA committee, recommended emergency use authorization for Pfizer's BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. But we're grateful for the scientists at these, not only there, but other great organizations, researchers who developed this vaccine and several others on the way. And we're just as grateful to the scientists and the public experts who evaluated its safety and efficiency free from political influence. I want to make it clear to the public, you should have confidence in this. There is no political influence. These are first-rate scientists taking their time, looking at all of the elements that need to be looked at. Scientific integrity led us to this point. We know the immense challenges and hard work ahead. Earlier this week, I announced our COVID response team that'll scale up the manufacturing, distribution, and injection of the vaccine. We set a bold and doable challenge in my first 100 days. 100 million shots in 100 days. Asking the American people to wear masks for the first 100 days of our administration.
Right.
And if we get the necessary funding from Congress, we can get most of our schools open in 100 days, but we need the help from the Congress and the funding. The first 100 days won't end the COVID-19, but meeting those goals can slow the spread, save lives, and get us back to our lives with the people we love the most. And we'll also be getting the right people confirmed during this period of time and in place to manage this robust, aggressive plan to contain the virus, help us build back better than ever, and make sure everyone is included. Now, today, I'm really pleased to add members to my team that will get the job done.
Here we go.
In addition to the pandemic's grim milestone, the economic crisis has left millions of Americans out of work, without a paycheck, without health insurance, unable to put enough food on the table, literally unable to put food on the table, and unsure whether they can pay their rent for when the new year begins or make their mortgage payments. It's affecting everyone from farmers to students, seniors to veterans, in red states, blue states, small towns, and big cities. And that's why the Congress needs to act, and act now, on the COVID package. I spoke to my two friends who are still in the Congress, the Vice President and the soon-to-be Secretary of HUD. We have to get this done. They're pushing hard, but it doesn't look so good right now. But it has to get done before they go home. Millions and millions of Americans simply can't wait any longer. We shouldn't, we can't get bogged down in issues that don't help people. State and local governments need the help. Not only that, as I've said for months, we need to protect essential personnel like law enforcement, firefighters, to make...
You know, I interviewed Ro Khanna recently. He says he hopes it does get done, a second stimulus before the end of the year. I just don't know how it's going to happen. I don't see it, guys. I wish I did.
I mean, if it gets passed, but it's an important first step. There's so much we have to do. These crises have ripped the blinders right off the systemic racism that exists in America. The American people now can see clearly. Black, Latino, Native Americans, nearly 3 times more likely to die from COVID and more likely to get COVID to begin with. Black and Latino unemployment rates too large, too high. Communities of color are left to ask whether they'll ever be able to break the cycle, where in good times, they lag, in bad times, they're hit first and the hardest, and in recovery, they take the longest to bounce back. Vice President-elect Harris and I knew we'd have our work cut out for us when we got elected, but we also knew we could build a team that would meet this unique and challenging moment in American history. Some are familiar faces, some are new in their roles. All are facing new circumstances and challenges. That's a good thing. They bring deep experience and bold new thinking. Above all, they know how government should and can work for all Americans. For Secretary of Agriculture, I nominate Tom Vilsack, an outstanding 2-term governor of Iowa.
We expected that.
The best Secretary of Agriculture I believe this country's ever had. He was there when the Great Recession was pummeling rural America. Over 8 years, he oversaw a record-breaking investment to bring us back. He implemented the Recovery Act to help rural communities recover and rebuild. Tom helped expand markets around the world for American farmers. He improved our food safety standards and helped millions of children and families receive healthy meals. He wasn't anxious to come back. He wasn't looking for this job, but I was persistent. And I asked him to serve again in this role because he knows the USDA inside and out. He knows the government inside and out. We need that experience now. 1 in 6 Americans and a quarter of the children in America are facing hungry. The opioid crisis in rural America is a rural America crisis, as is the climate crisis with droughts, floods, wiping out crops in small towns. Farmers and small businesses, small towns, rural communities, white, black, Latino, are reeling from the pandemic and economic downturn. Tom knows the full range of resources available to this department to get immediate relief to those most in need and address the crises, not one, the crises facing rural America. He knows how to build back better for all Americans. He helped develop my Rural Plan for America in the campaign, and he now has the dubious distinction of having to carry it out. It's a good plan. That includes making American agriculture the first in the world to achieve net zero emissions and create new sources of income for farmers in the process.
Nice goal.
By paying farmers to put their land in conservation, plant cover crops that use the soil to capture carbon, and will ensure that USDA promotes true racial equality and inclusion. He recognizes the history of discrimination and will root it out wherever it exists. I've known Tom for a long time, and I'm confident he'll get it done. For Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, I am really pleased to nominate Congresswoman Marcia Fudge, one who, might add, could do many jobs beyond the one I'm asking her to do.
That's an interesting pick.
But I think the job I'm asking you to do, Congresswoman, is critically important to everything that the Vice President and I believe is how we're going to build back better. As a former mayor, she understands how to manage challenges and forge solutions at a local level. For 12 years in Congress, she's represented the great city of Cleveland. You know, though I think of her most significant political feat was being elected president of Deltas. I know from this state how powerful the Deltas are. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. She developed an entire career for fighting for working people on issues from affordable housing to urban revitalization. During the Great Recession, her district was hit hard by the housing crisis. She spent the past decade working to improve blighted neighborhoods, create safer, more affordable communities. She also understands where you live impacts on your health, access to education, jobs, and economic opportunity. Zip code should not determine the outcomes on all those issues. She's going to bring that same vision as HUD Secretary, using every lever at her disposal to help the millions of Americans facing
It's refreshing not to hear the president-elect assail the character of people during every single presentation.
Charged to make housing more affordable and accessible. She worked to increase home ownership as a means towards wealth generation, particularly for communities of color. It's not just dealing with the other issues. We have to be able to build wealth in communities of color. And she's also going to help us build back better by working across the ideological spectrum to fulfill the promise of HUD's mission. And here's what its mission is, it's often forgotten: to create strong, sustainable, inclusive communities and quality, affordable homes for all. End of quote. Marcia will be the first woman to lead HUD in more than 40 years, and just the second black woman ever. I'm honored to have her serve and thank her for being willing to do it in the Biden-Harris administration at this critical moment in our nation's history. And for Secretary of Veterans Affairs, I nominate Dennis McDonough, former White House Chief of Staff, Deputy National Security Advisor, deep experience on Capitol Hill. I've known Dennis for a long time. He shares my belief that
Probably
we
the
have
type of
many
person you want in that
obligations
role.
as a nation. We have only one truly sacred obligation: to prepare and equip our troops that we send into harm's way, and then to care for them and their families when they return. He regularly traveled, as I did, to Iraq and Afghanistan to meet directly with our service members, to see what they were going through, understand the strain and the impact on them and their families. He'd visit them, as I did often, at Walter Reed to see firsthand the visible and invisible wounds they brought home. He knows the cost of war on veterans and their families, from the toll on their physical and mental health to with access to good-paying jobs. And he's a fierce advocate and a relentless workhorse. And I believe, and I think everyone who's ever worked with him knows, he's a world-class manager with an innate understanding for how government can and must work for our veterans. He worked closely with our then VA Secretary Bob McDonnell and with the Congress to increase VA funding to ensure veterans to get the benefits they earned and they deserve. And by the way, he knows we have a very, very steep hill to climb in getting more funding, more docs, more psychiatric nurses, more folks out of the private sector into the VA. That includes implementing Veterans Choice, a bill led by my friend Bernie Sanders and my late friend, American hero John McCain, and signed into law by President Obama in 2014 to help veterans access quality health care that they need when they need it. And in this role, I've given Dennis a clear mission: fight like hell. Fight like hell for our veterans and their families. And anyone who has worked with Dennis will tell you he'll move heaven and earth to fix any problem, to get a job done. He'll also work closely with our Secretary of Defense designee, Lloyd Austin, and the entire cabinet, and Jill as First Lady, to pull every lever to help us build back the VA better than ever. And Dennis, it's a family endeavor. His wife, Kari, leads a nonprofit that helps connect veterans and military families with local communities so they can help each other out and build a stronger country together. We're both our spouses feel incredibly strongly about this and have for some time. All the veterans and military families, nominating a VA secretary is one of the most important decisions I believe a president can make. And Dennis will always be there for you. I promise you, always fighting for you, as will the Vice President and I. For the United States Trade Representative, we've nominated Catherine Tai.
This light is really weird. I
Trusted
apologize,
trade
everybody.
expert, a dedicated public servant who knows government and who spent her career leveling the playing field for American workers and their families. That's not hyperbole, that's a fact. She currently serves as the chief lawyer on trade for the powerful House Ways and Means Committee, sharing praise from both lawmakers and both political parties, and from both labor and business as well. Now that's a feat across the board, but all kidding aside, I've gotten more calls complimenting me on your appointment than you can imagine. During the Obama-Biden administration, she was the chief trade enforcer against unfair trade practices by China, which will be a key priority in the Biden-Harris administration. She understands that we need to be considerably more strategic than we've been in how we trade, and that makes us all stronger. How we're made stronger by trade. One that leaves nobody behind. She can work closely with my economic and national security and foreign policy teams. Trade will be a critical pillar in our ability to build back better and carry out our foreign policy for the middle class. When I announced my candidacy, I talked about a foreign policy for the middle class, and I meant that in a literal sense. She also brings a sophisticated understanding of the threats of climate change to trade, as well as addresses the climate crisis with urgency. She also embodies a powerful immigration story of America. Her parents were both born in China. They moved to Taiwan and then came to the United States where Catherine was born. Her parents became government.
Trump's not going to like that. He wants to be punishing Chinese people at this point.
Hiring their daughter to pursue a career in public service. Catherine says she's the first American-born member of a family and a second-generation U.S. government servant. That's a great way of expressing it. If confirmed, she'd be the first Asian American and the first woman of color to serve in this position. And our nation, our economy, our workers, our businesses, we're fortunate to have her serve in this role. As director of the White House Domestic Policy Council, I spent some time convincing this wonderful public servant, but I'm appointing Susan Rice, former
There it is.
United States Ambassador to the United Nations, former National Security Advisor to President Obama, former cabinet member, team player, policy heavyweight through tough negotiator.
We'll be breaking
trusted
all
and
of this
tested
down on
public
Monday.
servant who I've known for a long time, not only admired, but become friends with. She'll lead and coordinate my critical domestic policy agenda. And she's going to elevate and turbocharge a revitalized domestic policy council to help us build back better on every issue across the board. She'll work closely with my director of National Economic Council, Brian Dees. She'll work closely with my National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, and the National Security Council. Together, they'll align domestic policy, economic policy, and national security unlike ever before. This is a big and critical role. That's why I asked Susan to serve. She's been there. She knows what it takes, like she did in helping mobilize the entire federal government to end the Ebola crisis. And her voice is particularly needed at this critical moment. A granddaughter of immigrants, a descendant of enslaved people, Susan will be an effective and tireless champion for all Americans. And she knows I'm really thrilled she was willing to come back, be at my side in the White House. To each of you on this team, you have my gratitude, the gratitude of the Vice President and me for answering the call to serve again. To your families, thank you. We know the sacrifice you're making to allow your family member to serve as they are going to, God willing. And to career civil servants at these agencies, we look forward to working with you because we know how many talented people are there. It's time to rededicate ourselves to the mission our government agencies were entrusted with. And to the American people, help is on the way. I promise we're not going to let you down. May God bless you and may God protect our troops. And now I'm going to turn this over to the team, starting with our next Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack. Tom, thank you.
Should be interesting.
I guess we're going to clean it up.
You're going to do a little cleaning there. No real surprising picks. I think Marcia Fudge is sort of the most interesting one, and there's a lot of I've seen more talk about that one than anything else. I mean, Tom Vilsack will be fine. It's not controversial. It is sort of just a return to, you know, the previous. Let's take a listen.
Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, I'm honored by the trust that you've placed in me to return to the vital work of the USDA at a very critical moment for so many families and communities throughout America. And to begin that work by embracing the full benefits of a diverse and inclusive senior leadership team in the department, as I was proud to do in my previous tenure. And to continue the important work of rooting out inequities and systemic racism in the systems we govern and the programs we lead. When Abraham Lincoln established the Department of Agriculture, he called it the People's Department. I look forward to making good on that moniker for all people as we build back better.
So everybody's using that at this point.
I happen to be
it seems.
celebrating a birthday on Sunday, one of those round numbers that causes you to reflect on your life.
He must be almost 50.
Thinking back on the path of my life, where it began in an orphanage in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to Iowa, where my incredible wife Christy and I raised our family, and the home we've made there, to standing here today, being given a chance to serve our country once again. I feel enormously lucky and grateful to live in a country where paths like mine are possible. A country, as the president-elect often says, is defined by possibilities. But unfortunately and tragically, not all have experienced those possibilities. So I consider it my duty and my responsibility to help expand those possibilities for all Americans.
A lot of possibility
at the
use
USDA.
there.
Now, I know firsthand the character of the dedicated public servants who work hard each and every day to fulfill the mission of that department. And I'm especially grateful for the chance to get back to work alongside them. One of our first charges will need to be to contribute all we can as a department to aid in the pandemic response, reviving rural communities and economies, addressing dire food shortages, and getting workers and producers the relief they need to hang on and to come back stronger. When we emerge from this crisis, we're going to have an incredible opportunity before us to position American agriculture to lead our nation and the world in combating climate change and reaping the new, good-paying jobs. And
agriculture is actually super interesting because agriculture goes through issues of systemic racism and inequality, access to food, hunger, climate, energy, transportation. Like it's actually a huge deal and a super interesting position to let a lot of people just like, oh, what, you deal with corn somewhere, maybe?
The poverty line for 30 years or more, and to ensure that every child in our country and all those who are in need have access to safe, affordable, and nutritious food. We need to build back a vibrant and resilient rural economy that creates new possibilities for manufacturing workers, for family forest owners, for farmers, ranchers, and producers, that helps to make life better and richer for them and safer for all of us. And under my watch, the USDA will be a team player, working with our sister agencies to advance issues of shared interest, from rebuilding our infrastructure to fixing a broken immigration system to combating and fighting the opioid crisis. I look forward to pursuing that work opportunity to serve.
People asking what's going on with the lighting. It's just the sun is setting very early on the East Coast right now, and it's just kind of a mess. I'm in the bunker today, and it's just very weird. I do believe I'm getting vitamin D right now, though.
Mr. President-elect, my good friend, Madam Vice President-elect, to my family, my friends, my sorority sisters, my constituents all, I thank you for the opportunity to join this remarkable team and work on behalf of people in every city and community, to serve all those who are struggling and looking for the fair shot we all deserve. When I think about the enormity of the task ahead of us, I am reminded of the book of Matthew, where it is written, "Foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." There is dignity and there is grace within every woman, every man, and every child in this nation, including those who live on the outskirts of hope, those who work hard but still struggle to make it work, and those who have no place to lay their head. It is one of the highest responsibilities of our government to see them, to see their dignity, and to lift them up. I remember the feeling I had as a kid of the safety, security, and peace of mind contained in one word, home. I remember the comfort of knowing that no matter what happened, I could always go home. But far too many Americans live without that feeling. More and more have had that comfort ripped away. The crisis of a pandemic that has threatened their lives.
I think I'm getting sunburned.
The crisis of a recession that has swallowed up jobs, hours, wages, and lifelines. The crisis of injustice that has forced communities of color to make it in America with one dream tied behind their back. Each crisis chips away at their hope, at the promise of our nation. But I believe that hope is on the way, because I know that President-elect and Vice President-elect are building a team that is grounded in dignity. And our task at the Department of Housing and Urban Development will be to stand up for the dignity of all Americans and deliver the promise of our nation to all those left out in the cold. We will take on the deep-set roots of poverty and homelessness. We will fight for housing in every community that is affordable, decent, and safe. We will help more Americans secure the dream of home ownership, to close the gaps of inequity, build wealth, and pass it on to their children. We will pursue creative development projects to shape our landscapes and skylines, restart the engines of cities that have stalled out, and launch new opportunities in hometowns across America. But perhaps most importantly of all, we will help people believe once again that their government cares about them, no matter who they are, that we understand their problems, as the president-elect often recalls his father's words. I am honored to have this chance to help restore the people's faith, to deliver for them and make them proud, and to build back better alongside this dedicated team. I thank you for the opportunity to serve.
All very, very normal and low key in the middle of the worst moment of the pandemic. Cleaning of the podium happening between folks. Saving the N95 for the cleaning guy.
Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, I'm deeply humbled by the trust and confidence you have placed in me, and if confirmed by the Senate, will be honored to serve as the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Mr. President-elect, you have pledged to restore the soul of our nation and to unite us as Americans. In this work, there is a mission that can bring every American together, caring for our nation's veterans and their families. As you have said, this is a sacred obligation, and I know that for you and Dr. Biden, it's also very deeply personal. I've been inspired by veterans in my life as well. Today, I'm thinking of my grandpa McDonough, a Marine, all the troops I met on my visits to Afghanistan and Iraq, and the wounded warriors I spent time with at Walter Reed or showing around the White House. I'm thinking of the many vets I've had the pleasure to serve with, in and out of government, who have put the character and training that they developed in uniform to work to continue serving our country as civilians. I'm also thinking of one of my high school football coaches back in Stillwater, Minnesota, an Iowan, Joe Sam Samuelson. He stormed the beaches of Normandy. And in home hospice at the end of his life, he and his family were grateful for the compassion of the VA. When he passed, his wife gave me his coaching jacket, one of my most prized possessions. Coach Sam's jacket reminds me why when they come home, we need to have their back. As the president-elect has said, his marching order to me is very clear. Fight like hell for our veterans. We're going to fight like hell to give our veterans and their families the health care, respect, and dignity they deserve. That means helping our veterans build civilian lives of meaning and opportunity, making our VA even more welcoming to all veterans, including our women veterans, veterans of color, and LGBTQ veterans, and keeping faith with our incredible military families and caregivers, because we need to have their backs too. To the men and women of the VA, many of you veterans yourselves, you work tirelessly to take care of our veterans, and your demanding jobs have been made even more difficult by the pandemic. To you and to the many dedicated vets service organizations who include vets, survivors, and their families, I look forward to being your partner, one united team in delivering care and support that's second to none. Finally, taking care of our veterans is not a job for the VA alone. Every federal department and agency has a role to play, and I will fight like hell to make that happen. And even though only 1% of Americans wear the uniform, under President Biden, every American will be called upon to embrace our responsibility to support our veterans and our military families. Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, on behalf of my wife, Kari, and our family, thank you for this opportunity to serve. May God bless our troops, our veterans, and their families. And as a nation, may we always give them our very best, just as they have done for us. Thanks very much.
As Apollo Cyrus is pointing out in Twitch chat, this is definitely a change in tone and style from the Trump era, and also in substance from the Trump era. It is really only a change in style going back further, and it will be very similar to under the Obama era.
Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, I'm grateful for this opportunity to serve and look forward to working with you, with our partners across the administration, and with the bright and dedicated public servants at USTR to deliver for the American people. When the President-elect approached me about taking on this role, two memories from my past spring to mind. The first was from when I initially joined USTR in 2007. I was filling out paperwork and providing information about my family history. My parents were born in mainland China and grew up in Taiwan. In the 1960s, President Kennedy's immigration reforms welcomed them to America as graduate students in the sciences. My dad would become a researcher at Walter Reed, helping the Army advance treatments for afflictions that debilitated American GIs fighting in the Vietnam War. My mom still works at the National Institutes of Health, developing treatments for opioid addiction. They were naturalized in 1979, 5 years after I was born in Connecticut. And it wasn't until decades later, filling out that paperwork, that it occurred to me that I became an American before my parents. The very first...
One of the funniest things about these pics is you've got the left is so unsatisfied with these are just the very center left Obama era type folks, while the right is saying Biden will usher in socialism and communism. And it's like, obviously both sides can be displeased, but only one side is right. And there's nothing socialistic or communistic about any of these people.
And my heart swelled with pride as we raised our placard and stated that we were there to present the case on behalf of the United States of America. Two daughters of immigrants there to serve, to fight for, and to reflect the nation that had opened doors of hope and opportunity to our families. Those memories fill me with gratitude for being an American and for what America is at our best. And they remind me of the extraordinary...
By the way, it's not lost on me the irony that we have 6 times as many people watching our stream of this than Joe Biden actually has watching it on his official stream.
Any other tool in our domestic or foreign policy. It is not an end in itself. It is a means to create more hope and opportunity for people. And it only succeeds when the humanity and dignity of every American and of all people lie at the heart of our approach. I am proud to join with leaders who instill their policy with purpose and who never lose sight of the humanity and dignity, the opportunity and hope that make trade a force for good in our nation and the world. I am very proud to be an advocate for American workers, to stand up for their ingenuity and their innovation and for America's interests across the globe. I look forward to harnessing the power of our trade relationships to help communities lift themselves out of the current crisis. And I am grateful for this chance to serve, fight for, and reflect America on behalf of all of our people once again. Thank you.
Nothing too notable or remarkable. We'll do deep dives into the policy backgrounds of these folks. We'll have a report Monday or Tuesday. And I think we have just one more person we're going to hear from. How come Tulsi isn't on the cabinet, guys?
Thank you so much, Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect. I'm honored to join this tremendous team. Today we confront a profoundly connected set of crises, a relentless pandemic, a struggling economy, urgent demands for racial equity and justice, a climate in need of healing, a democracy in need of repair, and a world in need of renewed American leadership. In the 21st century, our foreign, economic, and domestic imperatives are deeply intertwined. Tackling these challenges is personal to me. I'm a descendant of immigrants and the enslaved, and service is in our blood. My paternal great-grandfather was born a...
By the way, people are saying that I should just look at a few minutes of the Newsmax live stream when this is over, just to like see the insanity that's going on. I'm going to do that. So there's only one more speaker, I believe.
The Bordentown School in New Jersey, which for 7 decades provided African Americans with vocational and college preparatory educations. 2 generations later, my father, Emmett Rice, served as a Tuskegee Airman and as a governor of the Federal Reserve. My maternal grandparents came to this country from Jamaica with no education, but working for decades as a janitor and a maid, they saved and they scraped to send all 5 of their children to college.
For people asking me if these picks are good or bad, these picks are exactly what we would expect, and they're way better than what we saw under Donald Trump, and they will be scandal-free relatively, and completely predictable, and relatively not exciting for a progressive.
From Portland, Maine. But today, for far too many, the American dream has become an empty promise, a cruel mockery of lives held back by barriers, new and old. That is not good enough.
Yeah, and none of them are socialists, communists, or Marxists, I should add.
We know that throughout our history, Americans have forged opportunity out of crisis. After the Civil War, we ended slavery and enshrined the concept of equal protection under the law. During the Great Depression, we established the Works Progress Administration and Civilian Conservation Corps. After World War II, we enacted the GI Bill. In the 1960s,
Yeah. And none are part of Biden's family, as is being pointed out.
established full voting rights and enacted Medicare and Medicaid. Now, at the foot of yet another bridge between crisis and opportunity, I'm honored and excited to take on this role. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's vision for our future is expansive but achievable. America must finally become a nation where every child, from Akron to Arkansas, from the Bronx to Brownsville, from the Sioux Nation to South Central Los Angeles, can dream without limits and make her dreams come true. I have no illusions about the difficulty of making that vision real, but we are here to get hard stuff done. Our top priorities will be to help end the pandemic and revitalize the economy so that it delivers for all, to bring dignity and humanity to our broken immigration system, to advance racial equity, justice, and civil rights for all, to ensure that health care is accessible and affordable, and to educate and train Americans to compete and thrive in the 21st century. I profoundly believe that we all rise or fall together, absolutely all of us. So, Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, I promise you, I will do everything I can to help this country I love to build back better, to make our government deliver for all Americans and for working families, and to bring the American dream far closer to reality for all. Thank you very much.
There is Susan Rice. And then I guess we will very briefly hear from Kamala Harris. And then this event is going to wrap. Then we're going to look at a little bit of Newsmax momentarily.
Good afternoon. Over these past few days and weeks, we have announced members of our administration who will help us meet the unprecedented challenges facing the American people. We have brought together a healthcare team that will help contain this pandemic once and for all, an economic team that will help build an economy that works for working people and all those looking to work, and a national security and foreign policy team that will help keep our nation safe and restore and advance our leadership around the world. Today, we are announcing leaders who will help deliver immediate relief to every corner of our great country, from rural communities to big cities and every place in between. Leaders who will help care for our veterans and their families and advance opportunity for all Americans at this consequential moment in our country.
By the way, my phone's going off that I guess Tim Pool and Adam Baldwin, that right-wing Baldwin, are going crazy because of a tweet I made about voter fraud. We'll look at it after this is over. My phone is exploding right now.
Hungry in the United States of America. At a time when 1 in 6 renters are behind on rent, we need leaders who will not only help provide relief to all who need it, but help address the affordable housing crisis in America. You know, I was in high school by the time my mother saved up enough money to put down a down payment on a home. And I understand the dignity of home ownership and the importance of making the American dream.
I find this type of like wrap up very meaningless and kind of a waste of time, but I don't want to like cut it off rudely.
Represented in California have been strained by almost 2 decades of war and economic hardship. We must have leaders who will treat all who have worn our nation's uniform and their families with the dignity and respect they have earned. Leaders who will be focused on doing what is in the best interests of the American people, who will negotiate trade deals that are good for workers and good for our economy, who will address the defining challenges of our time, from combating our climate crisis to advancing racial justice. That is what these remarkable Americans will do. I know them well, and some are very dear friends. These leaders have different backgrounds and life's experience, and they bring to their roles different skills, perspectives, and areas of expertise. And they all reflect the very best of our nation. They are all dedicated and compassionate public servants, and all of them are ready to hit the ground running on day one. So, Mr. President-elect, congratulations on these outstanding choices. I look forward to working with each member of the team and the whole team that we are bringing together to meet the urgent challenges facing our nation and to rebuild our country in a way that lifts up all Americans. Thank you.
And it looks like that is it. Okay, so more picks for Joe Biden. His full cabinet is coming together. I will have full details on Monday. So let's look at a couple of other things right now. So earlier, let me just refresh here now that we're on dim mode. Earlier, I tweet. So this, I'm gonna try to figure out what's going on along with you guys. Okay. Earlier, I tweeted the following: voter fraud is essentially a religious belief. You believe it, and then look for evidence, and the only evidence comes from those who already believe it. When confronted about lack of independent evidence, this is sort of like when confronted with evidence from outside the Bible, that the Bible is a religious text, is an accurate sacred text, you claim, well, others can't definitively prove it didn't happen. Okay, so I just tweeted this on a whim a couple of hours ago, and I'm told that the quote tweets that people are going bonkers. Let's see here. I wish there was a way to just do verified only, because I'm looking for some specific verified. Do you guys know? I don't want to pull up my tweet deck. Is there any way that I can just look at responses and retweets from verified accounts? Okay, so there's this Daniel Bostic who produces The Plot Against the President, who says this except for denying voter fraud exists. Okay, that's weird. But where is the Baldwin and Tim Pool stuff? Bear with me, because I think this is pretty interesting. The Baldwin one isn't even showing up. That's strange. He must have done it in some different way. Let's look at, hold on, Adam Baldwin. Oh, I missed it. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. We'll find it this way. Let me see if I control F my own name. Pacman. No, now I can't see it. What the hell is going on here? I scrolled past Baldwin. All right, let me go back. I'm sorry. I'm not the best with this stuff. Let me see. Baldwin. Baldwin's not showing up now. Maybe it didn't load. Oh, wait. Here it is. Okay, Tim Pool. LOL. Right on cue like David said. Nuh-uh. Okay, so Tim Pool said, I have personally corroborated evidence of double voting. I don't know what that means. Did he double vote himself? So again, the point is when you have 160 million people vote, there will be errors, and you may find a handful of bad actors who are typically Republicans. But you know, this has gone from, I don't know what he even meant by this, but it's like there was fraud that would have overturned 5 states so that Biden would lose, to I have corroborated evidence of double voting. Like, so how many votes is that? And then I guess someone responded and then deleted. And Tim said, just like David said, nuh-uh. I just don't care, guys. It's just like Biden just won. That's all. It's super simple. That's adorable. Now go find a new grift. Oh, that's pretty funny. All right, let's look for the Baldwin one now. Okay, I'm still not finding it. Show more replies. Baldwin. Still not finding it. Did he delete it? I don't even know at this point. Let me see if I can find it on my phone. Go to quote tweets. I thought I was on quote tweets. Jeez. Okay, now let's see. Baldwin is still not showing. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, okay. So Adam Baldwin just said election fraud denialism. Which is he? Is this guy related to the Baldwins? I just know this guy's a right winger, but I don't even remember who this guy is. Nobody knows. Okay. All right. Well, what, it's like, guys, I don't care. A great arbiter of ideas named Dave Rubin once said, "Twitter is not real life," and that is exactly right. So anyway, this was the tweet that I guess while I was streaming sent some right wingers into a tizzy. But it's pretty unremarkable. Okay, so that's that. Let me now get to, folks wanted me to check out what's going on Newsmax. I'm glad to do that as well. Let me just get caught up just briefly here. Monique Robertson signed up at joinpacman.com, and so did Kevin Brown. That puts me at 45. And then we're counting Twitch subs as well. We have Combo Carl, who just signed up. Il Albert, who also signed up, and that puts us at 47. Okay, very good. Let's just see, just to dive in for a second. I believe Newsmax is going to be a big piece. Oh, so let me explain why we're going to look at this. Oh, this has to be a parody.
It's important. You're now entitled to eliminate copays and get dental care, dentures, eyeglasses, prescription coverage, in-home aid.
Why do they go so big with the teeth? I don't get it. Like, I have no problem with people getting dental work. I think that that's a great thing. But how do you get talked into going so big with them is what I don't understand. It's like, do the teeth. I'm with it. Just get a normal size. I just don't understand that. I will not get it. Okay, so I think that we are going to see right-wing media be crazier than ever during the next few years. Why are we going to see that? They learned during the Obama era that stuff like birtherism and Benghazi and, lies about Nancy Pelosi, all this stuff. The crazier you can go, the more profitable it is. Okay. And Rachel Maddow made a really, really interesting, gave a really interesting explanation when she was interviewed by the Daily Show guy, whose name I forget. I've never seen the Daily Show, a full episode since Jon Stewart left, and I forget the guy. Trevor Noah. Rachel Maddow said that there's a reason why the left is never going to be as engaging as the right on the media. Because one of the things we do on the left is I say, hey, listen, I'm one voice, and sometimes I don't get every detail or get every detail correct. And there's great reporting going on from the New York Times and the Washington Post. And, look at these economists and look at these historians and do all this different stuff. Fact check me. Let's all work together to keep zeroing in on the right thing. One thing that right-wing media does is they say, we tell you the truth and everything else is fake. You've got to come here for the truth. And it slides where now you even have Newsmax and OAN saying, we tell you the truth. Fox News won't even tell you the truth. What's the truth Fox News won't tell you? Fox News during the day acknowledges Joe Biden won. So the profitability and, Trump now is promoting OAN and Fox and Newsmax. So I think during this isn't about memes. There's great memeing on both sides. That's for sure. But I think we're going to see right-wing media be crazier than ever during the next few years. So anyway, we're just going to dive in. This is like Sam Cedar's old segment, Random Rush, where he would just listen to a few seconds, 90 seconds of Rush Limbaugh randomly. Let's just see when the Mike Lindell My Pillow ads are over. Let's just see like what they're covering, what they're talking about. I'm very, very curious about that. Thanks to Penny Bluebell for subscribing on Twitch. Do you think we have a chance of a full party split on both sides, opening up a proper multi-party system, or is the democratic system on the way out thanks to this insanity? We will not. So the right may well fracture into sort of like the Mitt Romney side and the Newsmax side is maybe the way to describe it. But we're not going to get real multi-party representation in any significant way until we change campaign finance and we change first past the post voting. But I appreciate the sub. Thanks to Averos as well. Those are subscribers 48 and 49 today. Someone suggested something to me. They said, David, I use Streamlabs for live streaming. Someone said, you can have pop up there everybody who follows on Twitch and subscribes on YouTube, and so everybody can see their name come up. I think that there's too many to make it viable. Like, I don't even think I could keep up in reading them. I just think that blue box up there would get stuffed the entire stream. I don't know that makes any sense. It's like just in the last minute, it's like Amanda Gentry subscribed on YouTube. John Person sent a super chat. Minix followed me on Twitch. C. Missile gifted some subs. Penny Bluebell signed up. John Person super chatted. Daddy Halston subscribed. Turtle subscribed. Scroll Guts followed. Kelsey Marchman sent this. I don't think it's plausible. Let's take a listen here.
Secretary of State has now been docketed by the U.S. or with the U.S. Supreme Court. Can you explain to us a little bit more what that means and what this particular lawsuit involves?
Lawsuit.
Well, thank you for having me back on. The lawsuit was docketed today. I filed it 3 days.
So I guess what they're pretending they might win Georgia. That's the takeaway.
To go through before they can officially docket a case. And at least preliminarily, it means that the petition met some of the essential requirements, such as page length, word count.
They've got the page length correct. So that's step one in turning over Georgia. The page length, they've submitted regular pages.
It raises, in my case, the exact same issues with respect to the Georgia election that are asserted by the state of Texas in its litigation. But I filed my case just a few days after the election when I realized that for some reason the Republican Party was not acting, and I decided that on behalf of we the people.
I'm trying to imagine, like, what type of person is sitting at home saying, I believe Joe Biden didn't really win, and Fox won't tell me the truth anymore. And Biden seems to be picking cabinet members, but I don't believe that. These aren't people who are ever going to be cabinet members. What I believe is I'm going to sit here and watch Newsmax because Lynn Wood is about to overturn this thing.
Because I refuse to give up on it because I think I'm right. And so I petitioned for the writ of certiorari to the Supreme Court. And I now can only hope that the justices will decide to take the case. And if they do, I believe they'll follow the law and they'll rule that the Georgia election
Who is this guy?
was unlawful and unconstitutional because it was based on a deal cut by the Secretary of State with the Democratic Party.
Oh, so now he's saying the Republican Secretary of State cut a deal. That's fascinating. So Now that Republicans in Georgia, the governor and the secretary of state, are saying, like, we can't really just give the election to Biden. Now the conspiracy is that those Republicans cut a deal with the Democrats.
Governor to do for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and they'll have to decide what to do with an invalid or unlawful election. Depending on the time, I would like to think they have time to select electors that would vote for President Trump in the Electoral College.
Okay, and then so that's the remedy they're looking for, which is, even though Biden won Georgia, send Republican electors anyway, which is really crazy.
Instead of this January 5th runoff that's based on an illegal election and is subject to fraud, that they'll have time to set a new down ballot election in Georgia so that we can get an honest vote.
Can you imagine?
And have a person running or elected that has not been elected or lost on November the 3rd based on fraud.
This is about all of it I can take, guys. I think, okay, we've seen what's happening on Newsmax. I'm willing to take a quick look at OAN. Let me just find that live stream. Oh, hold on. OAN Live. I don't even know how this is allowed now that YouTube said this stuff is not allowed anymore. Like, you can't make live streams or content. I guess OAN's not live. You can't do stuff that denies that Joe Biden actually won. I don't even know how that live stream is even allowed. But let's just pick a random clip from the last 24 hours. How about, let's see. Let's do Swalwell in bed with China. Let's see what this is about.
On the issue and how Congress can respond is Representative Russ Fulcher, who probably serves the 1st District of Idaho. So, Congressman, we were just breaking down the Axios report about Representative Eric Swalwell. Do you have any concerns about him currently serving on the House Intelligence Committee?
You know, I really do. China is our enemy. And they are real. They have an economy that's arguably as large as ours. They have a military that's arguably as large as ours. And what just happened with the Swalwell situation is kind of a wake-up call.
So I hope people understand. Nothing happened with Eric Swalwell. It about 7 to 9 years ago, Eric Swalwell was in touch with someone that we now know was apparently in the United States, sort of like, it's not really working for China, but like at the direction of, it wasn't a Chinese spy per se. It was someone doing influence and trying to kind of ingratiate themselves with those in positions of power. And it's a woman who recommended a certain intern for Eric Swalwell's California office. And the FBI went to Swalwell at the time and they said, this person is sort of like a Chinese intelligence person. That may even be too generous. And Swalwell said, oh, holy shit, I had no idea. Like, I'll cooperate with whatever you need me to do. And at no point has he even been accused of wrongdoing. And now that it has gone public that this investigation took place, which involved Swalwell and like a couple mayors and all these different people, now they're like, oh my God, Swalwell. By the way, what relevance does Swalwell have? Swalwell in bed with China is the subject here.
This is just how in depth the Chinese will go to try to infiltrate American influence. So this is very troubling. Number one, because he's a member of the United States Congress. Number two, because he serves on the Intelligence Committee, has tremendous access to information.
Yeah, and I think that's very well put because, for example, he's not the first individual. It wasn't too long ago where we were talking about Dianne Feinstein, who had a driver on her staff who was also a Chinese spy. But we've also heard this taking place at our academic institutions across the country.
So now these are completely different things. So okay, wait a second. So academic institutions and Chinese spy. I mean, this is crazy. But the point is, the point is when we say that there's all sorts of different ways in which foreign countries will meddle, including what Russia did in 2016, it's a real thing. Nobody's denying that. But the question is, did Dianne Feinstein do anything wrong or did Eric Swalwell do anything wrong?
Institutions across the country. Earlier this week, there was a videotape of a very wealthy Chinese individual who was saying that they have some people in the highest places of power here in the U.S. How can we address these concerns in a very tangible way?
This is a global issue that's been going on for 100 years, right? The infiltration with intelligence officers, deep cover agents. It has nothing to, there's no blame. It's not the fault of Democrats. It's very, very strange because now they're acting like this is evidence of, this is a global issue. We do it in other countries. Other countries do it here. Other countries do it in other countries. It's very strange.
Well, first of all, the university issue is a serious one. I've had concerns about this for a long time. We run the risk every time we import our students from other countries.
Oh, they're saying it's students could be the intelligence officers. That's interesting. I don't know if there's any evidence of that. What's this? This guy is Alex Salvi. Let's see who that is. Whoops, Alexa Salvi. Alex Salvi. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know anything about this. I don't know who these people are. But again, we're doing this because I predict that OAN and Newsmax will be players in setting the propaganda agenda for the next few years. Okay, anchor on OAN. I don't know. I don't know anything about him. All right, very good. Well, we looked at it, and as people asked for, I appreciate everybody joining me. We will keep up with the streams. We will be back with a full week of shows next week and streams. I'll be doing live coverage of a bunch of different things, including. But here's what I want to ask you guys about. If on Monday there is actually a live stream of the official electoral vote taking place, because that's Monday, December 14th. If there's something for me to cover, I would love to stream live. It's just not clear to me that there's actually an event to take that I could cover. So if anybody can find out about that and email me through my website contact form, I'm available, and I was planning on working, kind of scheduling my day around that so that I could cover that for everybody, and we could see like Joe Biden has officially won. I think that would be great. I will cover that. Please email me through my contact form on the website. Be back with everybody very soon.